Hi everybody, welcome back to this video. In this video, I am going to show you how do we work with JavaScript action chain in Oracle Visual Builder. So let's get started. A JavaScript action chain, a new type of JavaScript action chain has been introduced in Oracle Visual Builder with version 23.10. So when you create a new application or you upgrade your application to 23.10, you will experience a new type of action chain called JavaScript action chain. And the way you work with the earlier action chain has been changed with this new type of action chain. And initially you will face some hiccups while working with the JavaScript action chain. So I'm going to help you to understand how we work with the JavaScript action chain and how do we drag and drop with how we drag and drop the actions and configure. You are also allowed to create JS action chain using designer or JavaScript code. So the main purpose of JavaScript action chain is to create a JavaScript code manually if you needed to customize your action chain. So there are others. Actions has been introduced with this new type of action chain. Earlier, action chain was known as JSON action chain, and when you create an action chain, a complete JSON code gets created. But with this type of JavaScript action chain, a JavaScript code will be created, and you are allowed to update that JavaScript code directly as well. So let's see what are other features that we have in JavaScript action chain. So the first thing first, when you create a new action chain on the action tab, you are allowed to choose which type of action chain you want to create. You can either choose JavaScript or JSON. JavaScript is the new type of action chain and JSON is like the earlier way you create the action chain. So you are also allowed to create JSON action chain as of now as well. But by default, when you register any UI component with the event, our action chain gets created automatically. But this time, the action chain will be created and it will be a JavaScript action chain only. Right? You can call a JSON action chain from JavaScript action chain. But vice versa is not possible. So if you have an old action chain created in JSON and you have created a new JavaScript action chain and you want to call this, you will not be allowed. But vice versa is possible. From JavaScript to JSON is possible. So sometimes you will not feel like JavaScript action chain is not good for now because you will experience a different way of working than your JSON action chain. So if you don't want to work with JavaScript action chain, you can disable it completely and only JSON action chain will be used. So you need to navigate to the visual application.json file and you can add this called features and then code chains enabled false. So this is the feature that you have to disable in this particular file and then you will work with only JSON. Let's look with an example. How do we work with JavaScript action chain? So for this, I am going to take you on the application and will show you. So here, first of all, let's see which version I am using. If you click on this menu and go to about, here you can see my version is 23.10. So let's click this and main, and I have one business object called employee. Let's go to the main page and let's create one type. I have created a type called get employee, which has a first name, ID, and last name. And here I have created a variable called employee ADP, which has a get employee. Okay, a type. Now let's try to create an action chain. So here, when you create a new action chain, you will see the two options, either JavaScript and JSON. So let me try to create a JavaScript action chain and let's say load. data and click on a create button. When you click on a create button, and here you will see a JavaScript action chain has been created where you will see drag and drop actions on the canvas. So let me tell you how this works now. So here, first of all, you will see we have actions. Earlier, it was also there. Now here we have introduced one more pane called structure pane. Whenever you will try to drop actions, this structure will get populated to tell how the structure looks like of your action chain. From here, you can see is a grid view. You can also convert this into the list view. Okay, and you can see grid. You can, if you don't want to show the category, you can change, you can hide the categories as well. By default, it shows grid and save categories. Along with this, we have a property of the action chain like the ID. If you want to add a new parameter, you can click on a add and you can add a new parameter, let's say username, and then you can enter the default value and create. So this will become the action chain input variable. And here we have a code section, and here you can say this is how your JavaScript looks like now of the action chain. Earlier it was a JSON code, but here you can see this is my JavaScript action chain. Here you can see load data is your action chain name. It extends the action chain class. And here you can see we have a constant like page variable, flow variable, and application variable. Okay. And here you can see we have created a variable called username. Let's go back to the design. Let's try to do something. First of all, let me show you how do we call a REST. So you have to use a call REST like call REST. So when you drag and drop here, earlier, let me create one more action chain here. Load data, JSON, AC, action chain with this. And if you notice here, when you drop, and here we don't have a structure pane. When you drop the call REST, it will have by default two paths. One is success and second is failure. But in your JavaScript action chain, you don't have any path. So what you can do, you simply click this and then select endpoint like earlier we were doing with my JSON action chain. You have to select the endpoint. Here also you have the same option, select this, select endpoint, and then choose the endpoint that you want to call. Let's say this. That's fine. So here you can see store results. So you can see call REST business object get all. This is the variable where the data will be stored. Right now, if you go to the code section here, you can see constant. It has created a variable called this, and it is calling my REST API. And if you want to change this code directly, you can change it from here. That's fine. Now, if you go back to a JSON action chain, we have a success and failure. So when we assign the result of the JSON of this API here, but where do we assign this? So let's suppose I have a variable already. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that assign variable in this create error handler, not outside this. I will put under this. You can put just after this as well. But I want to assign the result of this variable. So I will delete this. So I wanted to see if success, then store, otherwise show the notification. So I will use assign variable and put under this create error handler. When I do this here, you can see one condition has been added. It says call REST business object get all employees.opt-in not equals to, meaning if the API is not success, then use something here. If it is success, then use one more assign variable create branch else. It is like a if else branch. Now here I want to assign data into my emp data.data variable, and then the result will go into these items. So I have assigned my data into this employee adp.data variable, and I can remove this here if I don't need it. Right click and then delete. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a fire notification here. And here let's say API is not working. So now if you see your action chain, this is success, this is failure, And here also, this is your failure path now, and this is your success path. So this is how you can assign data to the variable. But if you see in the action chain, if you use the assign variable, you are allowed to assign multiple variables in a single assign, multiple variables into a single assign. But here, you cannot do this. You have to use different assigns. So if you want to assign multiple variables, you have to use this assign multiple times. So let's say I want to assign the, let's say, username. Okay, or you can create variable from here. Let's say I want to create a page variable. Let's say total results. And let's say here I will choose number type. Oh, sorry. Results. And let's say it's of a number type and create it. So I have created a variable, but here I need to assign the value. Now here, let's say I want to assign call rest. Or you can see this here. Let's say items dot length. So here you have to use multiple assign actions to assign multiple variables, right? Now we have a if. Earlier also we used to have if. Now let's drag and drop this just after this. If true, let's suppose I want to check a condition if total result is greater than 0. Then let's say fire notification here. And let's say API has more than 0 results, for example. Warning, confirmation. So earlier in the JS action chain, if you see if, right, you have only two, true and false. If you would like to add one more else if, you are not allowed to do a else if here. But here we are allowed to do else if also. So how? Let's say I want to add a condition. Fire notification, create branch, and here it will give you a condition here. If you don't want to give condition, then it will treat as a else. But if you will give condition, it will be treated as a else. So let's say if result equals to 0, you have to use triple equals 0, then it will be treated as a else if. And let's say API has 0 results, for example. And then you can add one more, let's say fire notification, create branch, and it will be treated as, sorry, what happened? And let me go back. Okay. Create branch. It's not getting added. Let me refresh this. You see, else condition, and here you don't need to give condition and simply say API has no data, for example. Okay. And here you can see the complete structure of your action chain. First, we call the REST API. You can see how the blocks are working. First, if this, you can see then, and this will be highlighted, fire notification, else, then assign variable, then second assign variable, then if, then, and then else if, and then else. So the code will be highlighted, right? And then here we also have a code, JS code. So if you put this there, you can write your JavaScript code directly here. Let's say I want to print console.log. Let's say I would like to print the length. So let's say total data plus a variable page dot variables dot total results, total results. And you can write other JavaScript code as well if you want, right? So this is how, and here one more great feature. If you see, this has introduced a try catch. Earlier there was no try catch. Let's suppose you would like to surround this complete this if block with try catch, or let's say this call rest. So you can simply right click and let's say surround with try catch. So this will surround with your try and catch. So here this is your try, and then you can add a catch. Let's suppose this API fails, then you can catch the error, or you can insert the data into your business object if issue occurs. If you want to delete this try, you can delete that as well. And if you go to the code section, here you can see try and catch has been added. So if you want to remove this, and here you can see this is failed. Why? Because this function is this variable is inside the particular block. That's where it is failed. So you can remove this. If you don't need it, you can remove this here as well. There we go. So this is how you can create your JavaScript. Now let's try to create a page here. Table. Let's assign this ADP variable here. This is same. There is no difference here. ID, first name, and then last name. Now I want to assign this action chain with my VB enter. Let's say load action dot data finish. Now here we go. API has 0 result as of now, right? Because my condition, let me add some data here. All right, data has been added here. And now if you go to the main start page, you refresh this. You see, API has more than 0 results. That's fine. Now, if you, let's try to register an event with this. Go to the properties, go to the event, new event, and let's say first selected row. So when you do this, it will create a JavaScript action chain automatically. Okay. What happened? Yeah. Now let's try to do something. And here you can see with this, we have 2 parameters like we had earlier also. Let's try to do this thing. Let's try to assign. Let's try to call a REST API again here. Let's say get one. And here you need to assign the employee ID. Let's say Rocky. Okay, so this is there. And if you go to the code section here, you can see the endpoint is being called. URI parameter is this. Go to the design now, and let's try to assign the data into a variable here. You see, you can remove this condition if you don't want. Let's say I want to call this when the result is okay. So here you can see there's a one parameter, response parameter has been added, which is okay. And let's say you can remove return if you don't need it. And let's say assign this data into a variable called, let's say, total count. And let's say it's an integer type. And let's say assign Okay, no problem. Let's say, or not count, let's say for now, okay, not count, I guess. Let me try to have first name, for example, and let's say assign first name from here, and then under console go code. You don't put into create branch, you want to continue with the if, so you put before the create branch, right? And let's say console.log first name plus page dot variables dot first name, I guess. First name, right? That was the capital first name. Now let's try to run this page. And let me go to the inspect, and then we'll show you this console.log, right? Here you see the data. You see, first name, Ankur. So this is how you can use JavaScript action chain. But of course, there will be some more hiccups that you will face while you will use it. Now, I will also show you, if you want to disable this JavaScript action chain, what you can do, you can go there and from here search visual, or go here, visual-applications.json, and here you can add a property, the property which is called your, let me tell you what is the property. So you can put this property here, features code chain enabled, right? And let's try to create an action chain now. And this time you won't be able to create your JavaScript action chain. You see, create action chain, new AC action chain, create. And this time, this is your only JSON action chain. So guys, this is how you can start working upon the JavaScript action chain in Visual Builder. Hope you find this video useful. Thank you. Bye-bye.